Hello students, welcome back to the online series on MATLAB programming, MATLAB on ramp. Today we will be looking at one of the very important aspects of MATLAB and rather any language, that is the programming constructs. So what are the programming constructs? Programming constructs refer to whenever we want to do some repetitive task, we can use some programming constructs like if, for, while, etc. and make our task easier. So let me show you by few tasks how we can do this. So let us go to this MATLAB on-ramp and do the decision branching. What is decision branching? Decision branching means if you want to take a decision on a particular condition, then either you can run a particular line of code or you can avoid that. For example, if the body of an if block is only executed if the condition is true. If you see this example, let us say that x is equal to random. I have just initialized to some random number. Now when I write the if condition, if x greater than 5, this is the condition. If this is true, then only the body will be executed, y equal to 3. Otherwise it will be end. Okay, so you can write in the body more commands, but this is the basic logic behind the if block. Now we are given a task, modify the script so that the following code on lines 4 to 7 are executed only when do plot is 1. So what is here? They have just initialized do plot to something, and right now the do plot is 1. Moving on, let us try this if program. So line 4 to 7 means these 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want to execute these lines only if the variable do plot is 1. So what I should do, I should write a if command and I should say if do plot. Okay, let us move on and talk about else statement. Whenever we use if, we may want to execute some other code if that condition is not met. To do this, we can use the else keyword. For example, here you can see I initialize x to a random number and I check if x greater than 0.5, I want y equal to 3. I can add one more condition to this, else y equal to 4. In the earlier case, we have directly written end, but in this case, we have added one more condition by using the keyword else. Let us do a task on this. Modify the script so that when if condition is not satisfied, the following line of code is executed. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to add a statement called as else here. So if is not executed, then else will be executed. What I want to add in execute, display this, right? So I'll just copy and paste this code here, and now if do plot equal to 1, then plot this, else display this. Okay, so let us try running this. So after running this program, we can see here the output that we are getting is the density of lithium is 0.53, the density of argon is 1.78, etc. Such kind of statements. Why? Because the variable do plot is not 1. So how this control will work? If do plot equal to 1, then do this, else do this. So since do plot is 0, do plot variable is 0, it is not executing this block of code. It is going to the next block of code and it is executing that. And we get this particular output. I hope you have got this. So this is the use of the if statement and else statement. There is another statement called as else if. The else if keyword can be used after if to add more condition. And we can include multiple else if blocks, right? So instead of else, we can write else if. So else if, how it will work? So instead of a single else, if I want more else's, then I can use else if, and at the end I will use else, right? For example, we can add a variable do display to toggle if the densities are displayed, and we can add this condition with a else if block. right? So this is another way by which you can manipulate the control of the program. Okay, so I have modified the code here. Now what I have done, I have added one more variable called as do display and I have initialized it to 1. In this code, instead of else, I am writing else if, right? So if do plot equal to 1, do this, else if this is 1, then do this, okay? So I can add else if condition together. So instead of only else, wherein I can do something, I can add one more condition if I use else if, right? If I run this section, then I'll get this output because my do display command is, my do display variable is holding the value as 1. Okay. If I make this do display as 0, if I make this do display as 0 and run the code once again, then what will happen? Then this output will not be displayed. Why? Because now both the conditions will not be satisfied, right? So this way you can use else, if, else and else if constructs in MATLAB. So now you can see here that the do plot is 1, do display is 0. If I run this code now once again, then since do plot is 1, the plot will be shown, right? And since do display is not 1, the display will not be shown. Okay. So I hope you have got this concept. Let us move on to the next section. In this section, we are going to study about one of the very important looping construct in language, in most of the languages, that is the for loop. Okay. Have a look at this code. When this code is run, the loop body will be executed 3 times as the loop counter C progresses through the values 1 to 3 for C equal to 1:3. So 1:3 indicates it will start at 1, it will end at 3 and it will increment by 1. Display C. So C will be this variable, right? So it will run 3 times and it will display 1, 2 and 3 respectively. I hope you have understood the for loop. Now in MATLAB, most of the times for a smaller code where you want to just generate a list, you need not use a for loop. Why? Because we have this colon operator which can do the job for you. But if you have to do many tasks repetitively, then you should use the for loop. The task given here is wrap the code in the second section of the live script, lines 4 to 7, in a loop so that the code executes 7 times. That means we want this 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 lines should be executed how many times? 7 times. So for that we'll need an index, some loop counter, and we can name that as IDX. For the first execution of the loop, IDX should have a value of 1 and it should increase by 1 each consecutive iteration. So what should I do? I should simply add a for command. So if I add a for command, for I equal to 1:7, what it will do? It will start at 1, it will end at 7, increment by 1. And at the end, I should write end. So whatever is lying in between this, all these lines, all these 4 lines will be executed how many times? 7 times, right? Again, indentation is not mandatory in MATLAB, but I am doing it purposely so that the code can be easily read. Let us submit this and check what is the output that we get. Okay, so it is saying unrecognized function or variable IDX because we have not defined IDX, right? So I should write for IDX equal to 1 to 7. Instead of I equal to 1 to 7, I should have written for IDX equal to 1 to 7. Let us try it again. So what it will do, it will take first the value of IDX as 1. It will plot the index versus the density of the index. Then it will go make it 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. You see the graph here. So there are 7 asterisks which you can see here. All these 7 asterisks are plotted one after the other. Okay, one after the other by taking the corresponding values from the data file. So for loop is simply running the same code again and again over again for a given period of intervals. So here we are running it for 7 times. I hope you have got the concept. Now if you carefully observe the plot, you will notice that it animates. Okay, if you carefully note this plot, when you run it on your own, you will find that whenever you run this code, the plot will show a kind of animation in the sense, one star will appear, then second will appear, then third will appear, and the speed at which is appearing is at 0.2. If I increase it, then the animation will be more clear. Suppose I, instead of 0.2, I say 1, okay, and I run this code, so now the animation will be more clear to you, right? So this has to be, again, this has to be further increased and seen when you actually run on your own computer. It may not be visible in my system right now, but you can try this. Okay, the loop executes 7 times because the density vector has 7 elements. If you want to loop over a vector of unknown length, you can use the length function. For example, if you don't know how many variables are there in density, in this variable density, then first you should count how many elements are there in density by using the length function. So if I write idx equal to 1 colon length in bracket density, that means it will start from 1 and end at what value? Not 7, but it is the length of density. Okay, so density is some data. If you don't know exact count of the elements of that variable, you can use the length function. It will give you the length of that. Okay, since we know this length is 7, I have written here 7. If you don't know the length, just use this function length in bracket, provide the name of the variable, that is density, right? So this is about the for loops. Let us move on to the next section. Well, the next section is about final project which is called as the stellar motion. Now instead of going through the technical details about that project, we will focus on what are the calculations we can manage in MATLAB, and maybe at the end you can go and see the video in the MATLAB on RAM directly, that what the project was exactly about. But the point I want to make here is, you will find similar questions in every branch of engineering, whether it is electrical, mechanical, civil or science, any stream, mathematics, science, wherein you will have to solve a set of equations, get a range of the values, work out the find out the optimum value, etc. So this particular project or set of calculations will give you an idea of how to do that. Now the background here is, the spectra data was collected at evenly spaced wavelengths, and we know the starting wavelength and the spacing and the number of observation. Okay, so there is a database, okay, which is having 357 observations. So there are 357 values. Its starting value is 630 and the increment is 0.14. So the first value is 630.02. Next value will be 630.02 plus 0.14. Okay, so it will be 630.16. Its next value will be 630.16 plus 0.14. So this way increment is added, right? So this is what is given to us. Now what we are asked to do is create a variable named lambda end that contains the value of the last wavelength in the recorded spectrum. That means we have started at 630.02 and this is the first observation, and every time we are incrementing by 0.14. So we want to find out what will be the final wavelength, which can be calculated by using this equation. Okay, so lambda end will be equal to lambda start plus number of observations minus 1 multiplied by lambda delta. Okay, so we can use lambda end to make a column vector named as lambda, containing the wavelengths in the spectrum from lambda start to lambda end in steps of delta. So how it can be done, right? So what we can do is, I can write here lambda end, this is the variable that I want to create, equal to what it is lambda start. So I will write lambda start, okay, lambda start plus n observations. How many observations are there? N OBS minus 1 multiplied by, so for multiply I will use star, What is that? Lambda delta. So lambda delta. So this equation should work, but again I will have to check the spellings and all. So let me correct this. Lambda end is equal to lambda start plus n observations minus 1 into lambda delta, right? Now let us check whether it works. There might be errors as well in this. Okay, but it has worked. So I got a lambda end as 679.86, okay, using the equation which is given. Now we have to use this lambda end. We have to use this lambda end to create a column vector named lambda containing wavelengths in the spectrum from start to end in the steps of delta. So how do you do that? Okay, so I need to create a column vector which starts from lambda start, it ends at lambda end in the range in the steps of delta. So you remember we have used the colon operator. So I will use that colon operator. So lambda is equal to, I'll write in bracket from where I want to start. I want to start from lambda start. Lambda start, right? Where do I want to end? I want to end at lambda end. Okay, so I'll write lambda end. And at what spacing I want? I don't want it to increment by 1. I want it to increment in the steps of lambda delta. So in between these two columns, I'll write lambda delta, and finally I'll put the colon again. But I want a column vector, so I'll have to give a transpose to this. So this particular dash has to be given which will transpose this. Let us check whether this answer is correct. Okay, so I should get a column vector which will start from 630.02. Okay, so I am starting from 630.02, incrementing by 0.14, and I am ending at what? 679.86. So 357 values, columns, rows, and 1 column I got, right? So this task is correct. Okay, now from task 2 to 7 we'll have to involve a bit in this. So I will cover this in the next video. So what we'll do in the next video, we'll start once again with the project. Till then, you just practice and just go through the different for loops, if commands, all the colon operators and other aspects, so that you will feel at home when we'll be doing this project. Okay students, thank you for your patient listening. Thank you so much.